welcome back. So today's challenge is the Col de la Loze. So this first appeared in Tour de France only in 2020, and it's only been in twice, 2020 and 2023. So you can't really call something that's only been in Tour twice a classic climb, but it's definitely one of the most popular, and it's going to be a future classic because it is absolutely brutal. So we just passed through Moutier, which is kind of the gateway to all the major ski resorts in this area: the Trois Valley, Le Plan, Les Arcs, Teens Val d'Isère, etc. But anyway, I've stopped to talk here in this kind of nondescript industrial estate on the edge of town because this first section of road is a very major road, fast road. I'm not going to be able to talk, even if I did, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So hopefully I'll give you a bit more of an introduction once I'm higher up the road and somewhere a bit more scenic. But for now, so that was Brie-de-la-Ban, a spa town at the base of the Trois Valley, and the official start of the climb. So from there, you can either take the col via Meribel or via Courchevel. I'm heading in the direction of Courchevel now, although I'll change suit up halfway up. So I'll be following the route they took on this year's tour, which heads up towards Courchevel before traversing through the Tanya back to the Meribel side. Whereas the first time the tour took the col, I went straight up from Brie-de-la-Ban to Meribel. So yeah, there's two options already from the start. So officially the route I'm taking is 28 kilometers long, but no matter how you've got here, you're going to have to come through Moutier, like I did, and you're climbing all the way from Moutier. So that's an extra 7 or 8 kilometers, an extra 150 meters of ascent. It's not very steep, but climbing's climbing. And indeed, I've come from even further down the valley, so it's more like 40 kilometers for me today. After the brief diversion through Brie-de-la-Ban, you're back on this very busy, very fast, very loud road again. So yeah, the lower portion of this climb, not particularly pleasant, but it's got to be done to get up there. Unless you want to drive halfway up, but that's cheating. So at around 35 kilometers long, if you started from Moutier like I have, that puts us right up there with the Galibier in terms of length and in terms of total height gain as well. Moutier is at around 500 meters. I've started at around 400 meters elevation, and the climb tops out at 2,300. So just shy of 2,000 meters of height gain, but over 2,000 meters of climbing, taking into account the little downhills in the middle. Part of the reason for wanting to come up this way via Courchevel instead of the Meribel route is because it's fresher in the memory. That's the way they came this year. But the main reason was to come back to here, Courchevel Saint-Bon. This is where I first lived when I moved to France. I did a ski season here in the Trois Valley. So this is technically the lowest resort of Courchevel, although it's not actually a ski lift to get here, so you've got to take the bus up. But there's a pisted run that comes down to the edge of town just here. So really quaint and traditional little place. Nothing here, but yeah. This was my gateway to being a ski bum in Chamonix. So I lived in this rickety old barn just here on the left, on this ridiculously steep road, which is impossible to cycle up, but skiing down here on knee-deep powder on a couple of occasions was pretty good fun. This is technically the mairie for the whole of the Courchevel Valley, so Saint-Bon's quite important, even though there's absolutely nothing here. Just past the 1100 meters way marker, so still a hell of a long way to go. This is Courchevel Le Prat, aka Courchevel 1300. This is the true base station of the ski area. The main lift's just over there. So if you're wanting to follow the Col de la Loze via Courchevel, basically continue up the road that way. Whereas if you're doing this year's Tour de France route, which I am, you follow the road to La Tanya, which is a right turn just back there. So I'll be heading back there shortly. Yeah, just enjoying the sun at this beautiful spot. So while the tour's only been over the Col de la Loze twice, it has been up to Courchevel and Meribel independently dozens of times. But they only opened up the road all the way to the Col in 2018 or 2019 I think. Before that it was just a dirt track to access the ski lifts for maintenance, etc. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was basically built specifically for road biking. So this is La Tanya, which was the athletes village for the Winter Olympics in Albertville for the events that they held up in Courchevel and Meribel, which is why it all looks the same basically. There was a small village here beforehand, just downhill of here. But yeah, there's all a purpose-built complex, which is functional. It's not the prettiest, but it's not the ugliest either. So, cycling cols are categorised based on 3 criteria: length, or height gain if you will, altitude and gradient. And Col de la Loze would reach HC category status in all 3 of those categories individually, let alone when you put them together. This is why it's so brutal. The top 10 kilometres, which is what I've just entered now, if you took them off the top of a mountain, plonk them down at sea level, it'd still be a HC climb. You know, an average gradient of over 10% for the 10 kilometres, with sustained sections of over 16% and a maximum gradient of 24%, which is just insane. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up 24% gradient with my gear ratio at sea level, let alone on top of a mountain. It is absolutely brutal, but got all that joy still to come. Now is where we start to get serious. You leave the main road at Le de Piste, just down there, and now we're on this closed road segment, which is definitely a luxury for me. Never ridden on closed roads before, but still, this time of year you're never far from construction noise because it is peak construction season. Yeah, the climbing gets really steep now. Those last 2 kilometres have been around 7-8%. Now as we start to get into the 10, 12, 15, 16% territory. And yeah, probably won't be able to talk much because I'll just be too exhausted, but we'll see how that goes. In case you're wondering, yes, this is a ski piste, and that's a snow canyon. That tells you how steep this is going to get. According to the sign just there, this kilometre's only 8%, but having seen the section on the TV, it's definitely one of the steeper bits. Pretty much go straight up through these trees. I'm not even sure I'm going to start again. I'll probably go back down to there to get going again. Yeah. Five kilometres to go, and these are the toughest 5 kilometres of the whole day. Look at this bit. Crazy steep. Just had to deploy the zigzag or snaking technique to get up that ramp there. GoPro won't do it justice, but that was really tough. Still the worst to come, I think. First proper sighting of the Col de la Loze, all the way up there. It's not really a col, just a shoulder of a mountain that the ski runs go to, but they decided to build a road up it, so road is there, we will ride it. Just past the 4 kilometre to go sign, still a hell of a lot of height gain to make in these 4 kilometres, which is why it's so damn steep. The road traverses, you can start to see it on the face of the hill up there. At least there's some good views up here now, well away from the town, peace and quiet, mostly in the woods. Still got the ski infrastructure to spoil the view, but compared to what we had earlier, really shouldn't complain. Just psyching myself up for the final ramp. Looks like someone else has ground to a halt just before the top. I don't want to be doing that. I'm this close to running on empty. If the finish line wasn't within sight, I'd be thinking about turning around by now, because I certainly don't want to bonk on terrain this steep. This is brutal. Brutal but beautiful. Made it, just about. That final ramp, probably the hardest thing I've had to do in road cycling. It's like a wall at 2,300 metres after having climbed for 30 odd kilometres. Absolutely brutal. Is this the hardest climb in road cycling? I think so. Combination of the gradient, the length and the altitude all add up to make it absolutely savage. Sure, there are climbs out there with more sustained gradient. There aren't that many climbs with that kind of length, and it's not the highest, but it's pretty close, well over 2,000 metres, so altitude's definitely kicking in. God knows how the pros can race up that after having already climbed something like the Col de Madeleine or the Courchevel Roseland just to get here. I think that took me around 5 hours. The pros do it in an hour and a half, which is insane. Sure, I've had lots of little breaks, but not had any proper stop for lunch or anything. Just 5-minute snack and drink breaks here and there. So I'm to zigzag for virtually the whole way up on every single ramp, which of course you can do because it's a closed road. You wouldn't have the luxury of doing that on an open road with traffic coming towards you. Now a few moments to take in the view before I get back down again. I initially planned to go over the Col, down into Courchevel that way, make it loop. That way slightly longer and slower, and given that it's already 6 PM, I don't want to run out of daylight again, so I'm just going to head straight back down through Meribel. It's a quicker and shorter way. I can't say that's an enjoyable climb in the way that the Col de Glibé is, or indeed the Col de Madeleine. The bottom half is on a very busy, very loud, very noisy road, no views, and then you're in the ski station in Meribel for a long, long time, which, yeah, it's not the ugliest in the world, but you're just surrounded by massive shadow blocks and all the ski infrastructure. Then when you finally get out the top on this lovely section of closed road, you're absolutely fucked. So yeah, definitely more a case of ticking it off rather than just enjoying it, but I'm glad I've done it. Maybe I'll do it again one day, coming up the Courchevel side, but won't be for a while. Got so many more climbs to do before then. But yeah, now to get back down before it gets dark.